By the way, one of the big limits on President Trump delivering on his mass deportations promise has been money, because those immigration raids and investigations, the ones happening all across the U.S. that we've been showing you, they cost a lot of money. But now the Trump administration, because they know it, well, they passed the big, beautiful bill. It's giving billions more to ramp up those deportation efforts. So we'll talk about how it's going to work, but let's talk about the numbers first. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement typically gets about $8 billion a year. This new budget act adds $75 billion to that over the next 4 years. Big jump. To put that number in some sort of context, it's more than the combined total economies, the GDPs of Iceland, Haiti, and the Bahamas. So what does ICE plan to do with all that new taxpayer funding? Here to help us with it is CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez. Camilo, thank you very much for being here.
Good morning.
It's conversations with you that made me realize how important the funding piece was, and that's why I wanted you to come back and talk about how it would be used. What do you see this going to?
Well, guys, this could truly pave the way for an unprecedented expansion in immigration enforcement in the U.S. ICE would be getting $45 billion alone to fund its already sprawling detention systems to hold people awaiting deportation. That money will allow the agency to detain more than 100,000 individuals at any given time. Just to put it in perspective, ICE is currently holding about 58,000 detainees, so it would roughly double the capacity to detain individuals. ICE would get an additional $30 billion to fund other efforts to fulfill the president's campaign promise of launching the largest deportation operation in American history. That includes hiring more than 10,000 additional deportation officers, up from the current 5,000 agent level. It also includes getting new deportation arrangements with other countries, modernizing the deportation fleet, and also expanding agreements with local and state jurisdictions that are willing to help the administration by, for example, deputizing their law enforcement to also carry out immigration arrests. So it is truly a remarkable amount of money for ICE.
It's a huge amount of money. According to one article, it's more than most other countries' military budgets in all.
Wow.
Is it enough money to achieve those aggressive goals that the administration has set out for immigration?
Well, the administration has very ambitious goals on this subject. It is right now trying to deport close to 1 million people annually per year. The U.S. has never done that in its history. Right now, the agency ICE is not getting close to that number, but this could really turbocharge its efforts to try to get closer to that number, because it funds every single stage of the deportation process. More boots on the ground to identify and arrest undocumented individuals, deportation agents, and also detention capacity to hold them while they await deportation, and the actual deportation flights to get them out of the country too.
You know, the administration promised that the criminals, people with records, people who'd committed acts of violence, would be deported first. But then an increasing percentage of the people deported have been people with no record, or the only thing they did was cross the border illegally. And it's the people who are, it's resources that have prevented them from getting the first group out, because that's harder to track down. I guess my question is, and this is a little bit more subjective, is will all this money in some way make the process more ethical and politically palatable to people who are like, I like enforcement, but I don't want people who are part of our community going because of one thing they did 20 years ago?
Potentially, but the bottom line, Tony, is that ICE will not be able to deport 1 million people per year without deporting non-criminal migrants, people who have no criminal records. This will have to include people who are in the country illegally. Maybe they overstayed a visa or they crossed the southern border illegally, but otherwise have been law-abiding and have not committed any serious crimes, because the bottom line is that most of the people in the country illegally don't have criminal records.
And you may not have these statistics on you right now, but the goal is 1 million people every year. Roughly, where are they now so far for this year?
So right now, if you count Customs and Border Protection, ICE, and other deportations by other agencies, it's about 250,000. And so the agency is set to the Department of Homeland Security, rather, is set to record about 500,000 deportations in 1 year. But that includes also border removals and other returns, not just ICE removals.
It's a lot of money.
No one better to break it all down for us. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Camilo. That was today's By the Way.